Hey guys, let's get into our energy of the week, shall we? We are closing out the month of April this week, approaching our entrance into the month of May, which is going to be another probably pretty wild month. We're going to have a Sun-Uranus conjunction. We're going to have a Mars-North Node conjunction, Pluto stations retrograde. Lots of big stuff happening in the month of May this year as well. And as we move into the energy of this week, we're probably going to start feeling like, stimulated, okay? Mars and Venus both change signs to begin our week this week. Monday and Tuesday both enter actually their home signs of Taurus and Aries. This is going to be a phase over this next couple of weeks of some real potential for like creative action, creative activity that's going on. We're probably going to be feeling real motivated to do something, to make something happen, to move something forward. Definite future focus is being indicated right now as well. Of course, with Mars now in proximity of the North Node and also Venus in the sign of Taurus. We're like on the move, we're on the chase, we are in pursuit of our passions, of our desires, and of making something happen. And we're probably going to feel it coming through in the shifting vibes this week. Let's get into our report of the day, you guys. We have a lot of energy to talk about this week as we are closing out the month of April, preparing to enter the month of May and all of the highly Uranian energy that it may be bringing us as we move forward. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, April 29th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys want to stick with me until the end of this report, I have also done a collective tarot reading for us. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality when I'm doing these collective energy readings, just to get us some additional energetic perspectives of what's going on out there. So we will do that at the end. There could be some messages in there for you if you want to stick around for that. But that being said, let's get right into the astrology. This is a page turning week. Corrections are coming this week. Energy is shifting this week. The time to act is approaching, is nearly before us, and there is likely to be a creative impulse that is beginning to really drive things forward. As I said, we begin the week on Monday with Venus changing signs, entering the sign of Taurus. Then on Tuesday, the very next day, we have Mars leave the sign of Pisces, enter the sign of Aries. This is going to be a palpable energetic shift, and it has a lot to do with the differentiation between the planetary energies that were hosting Venus and Mars through the month of April and the signs that they are moving into and that are going to be hosting them going forward through the month of May. The previous signs that they are moving out of and where they were in April, Venus was in Aries, Mars was in Pisces. Neither of these two planets particularly love and thrive to their fullest extent in the signs that they are coming out of now. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that if you have like Venus and Aries in your chart or Mars and Pisces in your chart that you're not going to be awesome, because you could very well be very awesome. Of course, all energy manifests according to octaves. There's a multitude of different ways that energy can manifest and play out, and it has a lot to do with the other patterns present in your chart as well. However, when we're talking about just the ongoing collective unfoldment of the celestial energy, a lot of times Mars in Pisces just doesn't do its best, because Mars is the vigor. Mars is like the energy body, right? And Pisces is a sign about like being the most chill and the most calm. So when you've got a planet that is all about like, sort of like raging out and like being super passionate and super courageous and like the warrior and saving and slaying the day, you know what I mean? Just being like all this gusto, putting it in the sign that just wants things to really like relax, chill out, sit back and meditate and connect to spirit. They don't necessarily like mesh that well all the time. So it can have a tendency of being a bit of a drain on our energy levels, because Mars is our energy levels. Pisces wants things to relax. So collectively, when we have this transit going on, it can just manifest as sort of a more depressed energy level. And like literal depression, and also just feeling like we just don't have it in the same way. Like our spark might be like a little dimmer, I guess, than maybe it typically is, or than it is when Mars is transiting a sign where he's at his full power and potential, which is what we are moving into. I've been calling this energy a bit bipolar, the energy that we have had going on last weekend as opposed to this past weekend, just like the day yesterday and the day before, and the energy that is opening our week this week, because it really is going from Mars in the end of Pisces with Neptune. Remember, it wasn't just Mars in Pisces, it was Mars in an exact conjunction to Neptune in the end of Pisces. This is like the ultimate Piscean Neptunian energy in combination with Mars. So this really has been sort of the epitome and the most true Mars Neptune like Pisces conjunction, which could have been just like have us having a hard time sort of scraping ourselves off the ground. Really, again, like the self-doubt, not believing in ourselves maybe, or just feeling like we don't necessarily have what it takes to go on. Moving right into Mars, entering his home sign of Aries, this is the lights coming on. This is like the alarm clock going off. This is the, it just makes me think of like the revving of the engines, and we are waking back up. Like Pisces is the dream state. Aries, this is like the spark of life. We are coming back to life. We're being reinvigorated somehow, and it's probably going to happen like all this Uranian energy too, and then the Piscean one day Neptune conjunction, and then like literally turn around 2 days later and we've got Mars at 0 degrees of Aries, like the firecracker of the zodiac. It's probably going to happen almost in like a blink of an eye, in maybe like quite a surprising way. But vibes are going to shift, you guys, and there's like a vibrancy that is going to come back. There's a level of motivation that's going to come back, and the same can be said for the Venusian energy. Venus was in the sign of Aries. Venus does not particularly love to be in the sign of Aries. Venus can be great in the sign of Aries. You're very firecracker energy as well, very feisty energy. There's a lot of, good things that come along with it, but Venus and Aries can have a tendency of just inherently bringing up conflicts in relationships and making us a little bit hard to get along with, kind of disagreeable, maybe not the most pleasant all of the time. It can just make people kind of like fired up and irritated and agitated and a little bit aggressive, and it just, can disrupt the inner peace to some extent. So with Venus now entering her home sign, this is going to help to alleviate some perhaps of the conflicts that have been playing out internally and in terms of relationships. It should restore a sense of inner peace on some level. However, remember, we've also got the Sun and Jupiter and Uranus, in a conjunction in the sign of Taurus as well, which is ruled by Venus, where she's moving right now. So although this is probably going to be helping to restore this peace or comfort on some level, maybe internally within us, it's also just adding to the emphasis of the Venusian energy that is hosting the Jupiter Uranus Sun right now, and priming us also for some more shocks, surprises, big changes and shifts happening in the realms of resources, finances, worth, wealth, cash, value, assets, land, food, projects, partnerships, supplies, supply chains, like all of that type of stuff, real estate, okay? Emphasis for sure this month of May. I mean, we're in Taurus season, and that's always the general emphasis during Taurus season, but Taurus season is really freaking weird this year because it's hosting a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And although we've already had the conjunction and Jupiter is beginning to separate and move beyond Uranus in this month of May, we have the Sun coming right up that is going to make the conjunction to Uranus, and then just a few degrees later we'll make the conjunction to Jupiter. And we also, as I said, have a Mars North Node conjunction that is building, which is, this is like the things that are happening, the actions that are going on. There's a reason for it. This is like fated situations coming into play, like people doing things maybe that don't even feel like they're, in and of their own consciousness, just sort of like being compelled into action by some force maybe, or just like, you know, things that are happening right now. There's a definite fate, destiny, like they're necessary for some type of like learning or upgrade or greater evolution, or things coming to the next phase of things somehow. Like whatever's happening over the course of May is definitely instrumental in terms of the greater reset and the greater like I mean, we're in some revolutionary times right now, you guys. Like there are going to be, throughout the course of this year, and now that we've had this conjunction and moving forward, there are going to be foundational changes that are going to take place. And I mean, a lot of us are already experiencing that, you know, major life-changing stuff happening. And this is really just continuing to be emphasized throughout the month of May. It's like we've had the activation happening that was indicating that these things were pending. Now we are primed for stuff to actually happen as a result of everything, like the board being set up, you know what I mean? Like the dominoes being stacked in a certain type of way in order for the chain reactions to take place, which are moving things in the way that they need to, according to this higher plan right now, that is pulling us forth on this new journey that is indicated by the North Node's transit through Aries. Of course, a lot of us are going through a process right now of rediscovering and redefining our true authentic selves and our true purpose, and feeling called and compelled toward this like greater level of destiny that is being activated within us now. We're likely to gain, like along those lines, an elevated sense of awareness perhaps as well now and moving forward about what to do, what choices to make, what decisions to make. There is something coming through this week, and we'll talk about it when we get to the tarot as well, about having arrived, you know, especially as we get through the midpoint of this week and moving forward at the point where we're going to be able to make a judgment call and a good decision about something in regards to what is going to move us forward or remove some type of blockage or some type of like obstruction to our ability like to move towards this direction at this point in time. But again, like a lot of this is literally, especially throughout the month of May, like it's not entirely going to be within our control. A lot of it is probably going to feel a bit out of control. We may feel literally like there's just some like powerful force that is like interfering with our situations and asserting certain things happen in certain ways. So, you know, divine timing at play. This is a time where we do want to orient ourselves towards the future. Like there's no more looking back. Now that we've got also Mars having left Pisces, entering Aries, the time for dwelling in the past has passed, and now the future focus is what is being cosmically, energetically supported right now. The shifts going on this week also, they are going to activate this energy of rebellion and revolution, willingness to fight for truth, freedom, resources. People are going to be fired up and very motivated to act. Shocking, sudden, and unexpected growth is also likely to come from our actions and our efforts now. A lot of things are going to blow up in very unexpected ways, and you know, both figuratively and literally. Mars and Aries, there could be some literal explosions that are making a big deal somehow, that could be like shocking and destructive on one level, or this could be like a project that you are working on, or something you've been putting a lot of time and energy into, something that you begin to involve yourself in or to initiate right now, to start right now, really having some type of sudden, shocking growth, really blows up perhaps in some type of unexpected way. Both of those two octaves of the energy I would expect to see starting this week and moving throughout the month of May. A lot of new business ventures and enterprise are indicated in this month. I mean, this creative action, like putting our energy into things that we want to grow, blossom, flourish, right? Or things that we want to build. This is the Taurian energy. We've got the sun there. We've got Jupiter and Uranus there. This is something new, something fresh, something revolutionary along those lines as well. And now that we've got Venus there, there's a true emphasis in terms of like, it's like what we want to grow. It's like what we want to build. It's we have a desire to make something. And then with all the fire energy, the Mars energy, the North Node energy, Mars there, and also Mercury there, we are mentally geared and oriented around like a very active energy that is motivated to put the energy, the fire, the will, the strength into that which we are growing. So therefore, and I mean, Mars in his home sign, Venus in her home sign, like this is indicating that the things that we are fertilizing, right? The things that we are cultivating, the things that we are creating now, Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus as well, like the energy that is put into what we wish to grow, what we wish to build, what we wish to connect, what we wish to develop, could have some very unexpected and supersized results and outcomes. Okay, this is also partnerships very much indicated here as well. And things are going to move forward, supported for successful, sudden growth. Okay, and these are fated events and situations when we know that because of Mars and the North Node. The North Node is the destiny point, right? This is what we're being called and compelled to do. And this is known as the head of the dragon in Vedic astrology, Rahu and Ketu, the head and the tail of the dragon. So a lot of times the North Node is sort of synonymous like with what we're sort of being like compelled and like driven towards in almost like an out of control, like frenzied way, like a desire to consume, right? This next energy, this next experience. And in the sign of Aries with Mars there, this is probably, I will say this month of May is probably also going to be quite a conflict-ridden period of time as well. Not so much in the relationship dynamics as it was when we had Venus in the sign of Aries, but this, you guys, this is going to be people that are willing to fight. Nobody's backing down from a battle, conflict, fight. No, none of that. When we have Mars in the sign of Aries, for what it is that we want, for what it is that we desire, for what it is that we're pursuing. I mean, think about it. Even the way the signs like go, Aries comes first and it's followed by Taurus. It's like right now we have Mars in a place where, you know, there is so much motivation to get ahead. Not only is the Martian energy being like ravenously compelled towards the North Node energy, both in the sign of Aries, but also in pursuit of Venus in all of her Empress glory, okay, in the sign of Taurus. It makes me feel like Knight of Wands chasing the Empress energy. Mars, like hot on the heels of Venus in her full strength, beauty, and glory in her home sign of Taurus, him in all of his warrior splendor, in leadership splendor, right? In the sign of Aries, ready to act, ready to make something happen, like going forward, fire lit up underneath, in pursuit of the passion, of the desire, and the North Node right there as well. Like, we can't help it. Like, it's just happening, like it's divinely ordained, like the events that are taking place, the connections that are coming in right now, like these are things that are happening at a certain time for a certain reason, in order so that like other things can come into place. That all ultimately is for what purpose though? The North Node in the sign of Aries, this is bringing us through our own personal leadership era. At the end of the day, this is all about restoring a sense of individualized self-empowerment, where we are rediscovering the truth of our own value. We are rediscovering the truth of our own worth, our own, you know, inner resources, what's really important to us, what we really love, how we relate to ourselves, how we want to relate to others, how the relationships that we've involved ourselves with in the past have defined our identity and our relationships to ourselves, you know, what we're not going to do anymore, what we want to do more of, shifting preferences, tastes, and desires with Uranus and Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is a very sensory sign. Like, this is sensual. This is all the senses. This is, you know, what we like to eat, what we like to listen to, what we like, what type of art we find beautiful. You know what I mean? Like what we're attracted to. Uranus there, that's like radical changes to our like our preferences across the board, you know, the type of foods that we want, the type of music that we want, the type of art and beauty that we want, the type of like partners and people that we want and that we're attracted to. It's altering our own level of magnetism as well in terms of what we are attracting to ourselves based on what it is that we are attracted to at this point. And as an outcome of that, a lot of new beginnings are going to go on in terms of what we're choosing, what we're deciding, the opportunities that we're taking, the paths that we're walking on. It's really this time, North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, of shedding our old identity, right? And stepping into a new era of ourselves that is defined by a greater sense of self-empowerment in alignment with a much more authentic truth and a much more real and authentic version of ourselves. This is a period of time where we're being asked not to lie to ourselves anymore about things and to make the changes necessary to support the truths where the perhaps falsehoods or lies used to be. This is just probably going to be like a collective vibe that is happening, people not even thinking about it, but waking up one morning and noticing that they feel very motivated to take action, to do something different, and to redefine themselves as some way to recreate their identity. With reinvent ourselves with Venus and Sun and Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. We are reinventing. This is again a creative impulse that is coming through to do something new, do something different, and move ourselves forward. As we start on Monday, Venus enters the sign of Taurus. We will also have a Capricorn moon going on Monday, which will be forming a trine to the later degree Taurus planets, Sun, Jupiter, Uranus in the sign of Taurus. What this is likely to do as we begin this week. Now, remember on Monday, we do still have Mars in a conjunction to Neptune at the very last degree of Pisces. So the sort of like get up and go energy, you know, the lights coming on energy is probably not going to really kick in until we get Tuesday into Wednesday. And so you may still feel a bit like discombobulated or disconnected from yourself starting the week on Monday, a little bit like groggy and slow and stuff like that. But things are probably going to be just like somehow seemingly falling into place. We've got a trine going on in earth signs between the moon and also Sun, Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus. This is like things being a bit out of our control, but just kind of happening. This is like us not really doing anything. I mean, Mars at 29 Pisces, like we're not really taking any action. Like we're not really making anything happen. We're not really putting too much effort into anything. However, things just sort of seem to be happening because that's what trines do. They facilitate the harmonious flow of energy. And we're talking about the moon in Capricorn and the Uranus, Jupiter, Sun going on in Taurus being in earth signs. When things are happening in earth signs, when transits are happening and playing out in earth signs, I always see this as like things actually tangibly like happening physically on the ground. And because not only is the moon trining Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, but also simultaneously Capricorn, cardinal sign, forming a square to the North Node and also Mercury right now in the sign of Aries, whatever is just falling into place or whatever's just like randomly happening in the energy of Monday could actually be also triggering some of these endings or beginnings, major life changes, activating some aspect of like a breakthrough somehow that is setting the stage for us to begin moving forward somehow. It's like this moon aspect that comes through, makes the aspect to Jupiter and Uranus that is potentially activating in a more harmonious way this awakening, this change, this level of dynamism, or like expect the unexpected, shock, surprise, whatever, and also squaring the North Node and also squaring Mercury, information or connection, conversation, news, or just like some random thing, unexpected thing that's happening is creating some type of shift or twist or turn or surprise or awakening or stimulating something within us somehow that the Mars energy is going to come through and just build upon as we move through the next several weeks. Now, of course, this also could be indicating some type of conflict or fight going on over money, value, worth, resources. That's really something that we could see coming up here, moving through this next couple of weeks as well. But Venus moving into Taurus out of Aries, as I mentioned earlier, will help to restore some sense of inner peace or just like inherent feeling of worthiness that maybe had been a bit lacking over this past couple of weeks with Venus transiting the sign of Aries. Wild indulgences, though, and crazy excess, that is something that we're going to have to look out for this particular Venus in Taurus season. Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Taurus together, this has a tendency of supersizing our expenditures, what we eat, what we indulge in, just really maybe taking overboard the sensory pleasures that the Venusian Taurian energy can represent. And with Uranus there, it could just be like unexpected or shocking or crazy or out of control in some way. So, just crazy excess, like going out and like buying something totally like you had no intention of doing, some major surprising purchase. Like people could be doing stuff like that, getting like really also involved perhaps like in really wild random investments and stuff like that. Also, this is big time cryptocurrency energy, digital currency energy. I feel like with all of the emphasis on the Taurian energy, which is about currency, which is about value, which is about money, and Jupiter and Uranus together in the sign of Taurus, this has a lot to do with like future currency or like, digital currency and stuff like that. So I really wouldn't be surprised if the month of May is a very big month for like, Bitcoin, cryptos, all of that type of stuff. This is also likely to represent some type of an awakening with the Uranian energy to true value, worth, potential, but it can also represent some like truly wild inflation going on. Financial revolution is what I keep coming back to though with this. So it will be interesting to see how these forces combine to give us some type of outcome throughout the course of this month. Monday, the emphasis is likely to be, and really, throughout the course of this month, on the material world. I've said a million times, money, possessions, projects, partnerships, businesses as well, and things seemingly, apparently, rearranging themselves, falling into place, corrections and repairs being made this week. Probably, as I said, without too much effort on our part as we, move through the energy of Monday. But as we move into Tuesday, this shifts dramatically and we're going to begin to perk up as we move through the week from Tuesday moving forward. It's going to revitalize our energy levels. Probably going to feel much more alive, again, like reinvigorated, revitalized, very stark contrast. Our energy levels this weekend compared to our energy levels last weekend. Just watch, okay? We're going from like, I have nothing left to give, nothing left in the tank, like I can't go on, there's no future left for me, to, hold on and buckle your seatbelt, step out of the way, step aside, because if you don't, I will mow you down, I'm coming through, you know what I mean? Like that type of contrast in terms of the way that we are feeling as a result of the surging energy levels that are coming after the very maybe drained energy levels that we were existing within. We have a very interesting setup on on Tuesday, also as Mars does enter the sign of Aries, being brought to us by the moon again. The moon will move into the early degrees of Aquarius, where you guys know Pluto currently is. Venus, also having just entered the sign of Taurus, is setting her into a fixed square with Pluto. So on the day that we have Mars entering the sign of Aries and, getting us back on track to start moving forward with something in some pretty serious ways, we also have Venus square Pluto with the moon there as well. And to be honest with you, Moon and Pluto together in Aquarius in a square to Venus in the sign of Taurus is a lot like Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus together, and also a lot like the South Node in Libra right now. This is all about some type of transformation, dynamic change, purge, release in the context of the Venusian energy. Our previous preferences, desires, what we've been attracted to, what we've wanted, how we perceived our own capabilities based on our perception of our own resources and our own worth and our own potential and what we want to do with it, what we want to build, what we want to create in our lives, who we've been in the past, and how that version of us no longer resonates with the version of ourselves that we are rediscovering now, and what we need to drop off, what we need to let go, what we need to shed in terms of our old skin in order to move forth in this redirected direction that is in alignment with something that's much more real, something that's much more authentic, and something that feels like it has a purpose behind it. Another thing, okay, with Venus moving into the sign of Taurus, this is all about Venus and Taurus. This is a super sensual sign, right? This is all about what we want to experience, like in the physical world. With Uranus in the sign of Taurus, with Jupiter there, we want something real. Like, we do not want the facade anymore. Like, we do not want just the surface level of anything. Like, we want to see the truth, and what we value is the authenticity, is the future potential aligned with the authentic purpose of something. So a lot of the changes in terms of, I feel like, what we're attracted to, what we're wanting to do also with the Martian influence as well, is going to have to do with what we're discovering is actually real. This is also, Uranus is also what's different, what's unusual, needing to liberate ourselves, wanting to change things up somehow. This is truly like going in a new direction based on a more genuinely authentic perception of value in some way, whether it be like we are discovering and gaining a deeper and more true and real relationship to ourselves, and therefore we are gaining a better idea of what it is that we really truly want and desire, or whether it's manifesting in terms of like us discovering our a purpose that we are feeling called towards right now, and as a result of that, kind of having our desires and what we're attracted to aligning with the things that will support the cultivation and the development of that purpose. But honestly, you guys, like, universe right now, as we are on the brink and moving towards this 20-year Pluto in Aquarius transit that is bridging us into the age of Aquarius, which is a 2,000-year period where we essentially step into an era of self-actualization as a human species, okay? Self-mastery, self-knowledge, and self-actualization. As we are bridging into that energy now and, taking our first steps into that new reality, a fundamental part of that is releasing ourselves from the karmic cycles of the past that distorted our perception of our authentic truth and our authentic purpose and kept us locked in subconscious loops based in essentially like trauma responses and subconscious programming originating from maybe some core wounds that we went through or an experience. But at this point in time, with all this Chiron energy as well, we are being called to free ourselves from through the recognition of the wisdom that was born from the suffering, perhaps, that we've endured. Wisdom, you guys, is born through suffering. A lot of times, a lot of the unexplainable, horrible things that happen in this world have as a fundamental purpose and outcome an incredibly powerful level of wisdom that will accompany the trajectory of experience associated with that trauma or with that wounding. I didn't make the rules. I wouldn't have wrote it that way personally, but that just seems to be how it is. And so a lot of the experiences that we are going through now, a lot of the cycles that are coming to an end right now have to do with the wisdom that we've gained through the more painful experiences that we've been through, and being at a point right now where we need to choose to implement that experience and re-empower ourselves to move forward in a new direction, as opposed to choosing the same experiences from the past that kept us hooked in these states of surrendering our power, essentially, and on the hamster wheel of subconscious programming that is associated with that, and the unhealed trauma that, you know, is usually the origin point of that. So the energy right now, you know, we are turning the page, we are moving forward. We've had all of these huge activations that have gone on that have really been trying to push us in a direction that detaches us from those karmic cycles of the past. Because remember, ultimately, this is all about bridging us into the age of Aquarius. And that is an individual process, one by one by one. You know, it's not happening overnight. It's going to take hundreds and hundreds of years for humanity to go through this process of evolution that will culminate in the self-actualization phase of humanity as we're moving forward into this new golden age, which is this whole other, you know, big narration that we get into sort of here and there on a regular basis, but I'm not going to go too much further into detail about right now. But I want to talk about the energy, you know, today and moving into Tuesday, going from I've got nothing left to give to all I have is incentive and motivation and drive to move forward. Another period of time, another week indicating major changes underway in our material world. Again, Taurus, money, assets, resources, possessions, land. We can move forward now. Doing what needs to be done is the name of the game this week. And what needs to be done is changing the way we relate to value, resources, creative potential, and what we can do with it, what we can build with it. Powerful inner awakenings and transformations that will be a deeply personal experience throughout the course of the summer. This is something that we're moving towards as well. Pluto is also going to go retrograde as we enter the month of May. This week, actually, I believe on May 2nd, Pluto stations retrograde, which don't worry, you guys, I will have a May overview out next video, so we will talk all about it. The lights do come on this week though, so if you've been feeling disconnected, right, from yourself, that should definitely change this week. The revitalization is coming in, and it, you know, it's being spoken about in terms of the symbolism underway this week to start our week as well. On Tuesday, we have the sun at 11 degrees of Taurus, a woman sprinkling long rows of flowers, right? Active creation. That is a very good symbolic reference to the Venus, Taurus, Mars, Aries energy. We are taking action to make things grow moving forward right now. And we also have the Earth at 11 degrees of Scorpio on Tuesday. That Sabian symbol is a drowning man being rescued, which is also like Mars, last degree of Pisces, conjunction to Neptune, right? And then moving into the sign of Aries. So we are coming back to life, drowning man being rescued, sprinkling long rows of flowers, preparing to enter an active phase of growth. And Jupiter and Uranus in their Sabian symbol positions for this week are talking about it as well. We have Uranus right now at 23 Taurus, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. And we've got Jupiter at 24 Taurus, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. Probably one of the most gruesome Sabian symbols. But in this context, it's also making me think of the Venus and Mars dynamic, because Mars and Aries, that would be that Indian warrior riding fiercely with the scalps hanging from his belt. Absolutely. We're even talking about scalps, which is the head, which is Aries energy, Mars energy. And then Venus, Taurus, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems, like doesn't get much more Venetian Taurian than that. So that's the setup, guys. That's the dynamic, the active pursuit of that which we desire and are passionate about coming through this week. That's going to be the vibe shift, the drowning man being rescued. We are coming back to life. We are going to feel charged up and ready to move forward with something. A woman sprinkling long rows of flowers. What are we going to feel motivated to do to do what it takes to implement some type of action required to get something going or to get something growing, with the Taurian energy coming through as well. That's what I have to say for the astrology today, you guys. Let us now get into the tarot for a minute. The tarot message, I feel like, is quite reflective of the way the astrology is playing out. The first card that we had coming out was the Ace of Wands, which is the first degree of the sign of Aries. Mars there. The life force is coming back, you guys. The motivation, the willpower, the future focus, and the feeling like we can do it, feeling confident, feeling inspired, feeling motivated. It's coming. And then the next set of cards that we had come out, they kind of all came out together. I find this to be a very interesting combination of energy as well. We're talking about both the Five of Swords and the Seven of Wands in reverse, straddling the Judgment and the Lovers card. Okay, Judgment and Lovers together, these are both cards, major arcana too, about decisions. The Lovers card, this has to do with the Gemini energy, and this also has to do with choices, decisions, opinions. And the Judgment card is also figuring something out, seeing the bigger picture, and it also has to do with coming back to life, awakening. There is likely to be some information, some type of awakening, some type of an awareness that we're gaining. Any way that it comes to us, what this is saying to me is that anywhere that we've been conflicted, or we felt blocked, or we felt like we couldn't move forward, we couldn't make a choice, we couldn't make a decision, like perhaps also because of some type of conflict that it might have created or generated. This is basically saying that the conflict, the resistance that may have been holding us back from making that decision or making that judgment call is gone with these two in reverse. Like, this is the green light to make a judgment, to make a decision, to move forward somehow. And I mean, the Lovers, this is also about relationships. With Venus in the sign of Aries, that energy that we had, and Mercury retrograde and just all that going on, like, that was not a great time to get involved in any type of partnership, any type of connection, any type of relationship. Things to do with relationships and judgment calls in regards to relationships, partnerships, connections, business deals, choices and decisions. This is the time, and we're probably going to make, I mean, it's the Judgment card too. Like, this is karmic in nature. And we may just have some type of like an epiphany or a flash of insight or awakening something somehow, or just higher knowing of what we need to do, what we need to choose. Or this could also be like figuring out the value perhaps in some type of connection, in some relationship or interaction like that or something, in a way that like allows us to move forward somehow and removes, again, these two cards. I really liked that the Five of Swords and the Seven of Wands both came out in reverse, because these are both cards about like resistance, competition, jealousy, like having to push forward against something. With them in reverse, it's like the blockage, the interpersonal, at least, conflict or blockage or competition or like power struggle, whatever, doesn't seem to be a problem in the context of whatever choice, decision, conclusion, judgment call that we need to make. And it, like, the new energy that is coming in right now, this inspiring energy, is going to have us feeling much more confident, capable, and able to move forward. Now, I will also say we also had the Knight of Swords come out. It came out in reverse. I feel like either there's a reversal in information going on in association with this, like finding out about something that wasn't true, that is the motivation or the drive to move forward with the decision or with the judgment call somehow. Or this could also be saying that although you have arrived at your conclusion, or although you have made the judgment call, although you have made the choice or decision, maybe be cautious moving forward at this point in time. For some reason, make sure that you really know all of the information very clearly before taking action. It could kind of go either of those two ways. But with the Hierophant on the back of the deck, I do think doing the right thing is going to be the general motivation here, and people are going to be, at least in the context of these cards and the judgment calls and the choices and stuff that we're making, seeking to make the choice that aligns with, the higher self, or like the higher truth, or the right thing, doing the right thing, choosing to do the right thing, even maybe if it has been something that is difficult for us in the past. This could also be like choices or decisions or judgment calls or actions that we had been procrastinating because maybe we thought it would be really hard or difficult, something happening where things that were intimidating us or that were indicating that level of challenge or difficulty might be removed or alleviated somehow. But that's what it's looking like. It looks like there is a burst of fresh air coming in that is going to really just like change the tides, like change the way that things are going and remove some of the conflict or some of the challenge maybe that we've been dealing with in the context of making maybe an important choice or a decision or connection also that is necessary to move forward somehow. So that's what I'm going to say about the tarot. We're going to get one more card now. This is a Synchronicity card. This is just some guidance, God, Spirit, Universe. What should we keep in mind as we enter our week this week and start moving through these transitional energies, these shifting energies? What should we keep in mind? What do we need to know? What might a good mantra for us be as we close out? I can't believe April is already over. As we close out April and enter May. May is not as energetically climactic as April was, but it is still hosting quite some significant energies. Okay, we've got two cards coming out. We've got Seek the Truth, which is what we're going to be doing, and Ask and Ye Shall Receive. Okay, let's read Seek the Truth. God divideth the light from the darkness, Genesis 1:4. Are you sure you know what is true and what is false about the situation? Just because you do not see results yet doesn't mean that the answer is not on its way to you. And this is also, as I'm reading this card, it's also making me think, you know how I said this Knight of Swords was in reverse? Like, this is the answer. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, we might not fully, we just kind of maybe want to like move with a little bit of caution because maybe we don't fully have all the answers yet, but they're coming. If we don't have it yet, like the answers are coming, and they're going to be coming quickly because this is a Knight of Swords. This is the fastest moving knight, okay? And that's what this card is saying also. Just because you do not see the results yet doesn't mean that the answer is not on its way to you now. Remember, everything in the world must move over just a bit before your wish can come true. Know that God is working on it now. The power of God is working in and through you, and you will triumph. Do not judge by appearance. You cannot see everything that's happening. And then our next card, Ask and Ye Shall Receive. And all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive, Matthew 21:22. This is the truth. All good is unfolding for you right now, and it will become a visible manifestation in your life very soon. So maybe we still don't have all of the answers. Maybe we're still not seeing everything clearly, but we are definitely moving in a positive direction now. Now is the time to move forward. It is the time to act. It is the time to prepare to make the choice or the decision. Again, maybe not on Monday because we do still have Mars lingering, that drowning, the drowning man, the very last degree of Pisces with Neptune, Martian energy on Monday. But Tuesday, huge energy shift, you guys, coming back to life, drowning man being rescued, woman sprinkling long rows of flowers, creative impulse, creative action, huge future focus, destined, divinely timed events, situations, circumstances, connections. And major also probably like financial changes that are going on and happening or are about to. That's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would be interested in this type of astrology content. I also wanted to give a thank you and a shout out to Phoenix and to the new viewers that came over from PIR. I've actually followed Phoenix's work for a very long time, and I'm quite honored that he even knew who I was. I didn't even know he knew who I was. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and welcome, you guys. I'm very happy to have you here. That being said, if you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I also have a Facebook group where I post these images linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We are going to have our May, I'm going to have my May overview out on Wednesday, where I break down the whole month, day by day, week by week. Well, I try not to go into the day by day because I don't like to make the video too long, but we'll definitely talk about week by week by week, what we have coming up this month of May and what we can expect, what things are probably going to be looking like for us, what may be going on out there in the world and in our personal lives. I'll be here to talk all about it. You should be here too, you guys. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time. Have a very beautiful day out there, a very nice week of shifting vibes, and until next time, bye guys.